Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video this week. We're almost at Thanksgiving, so I came up with a small grouping of anime and live-action Japanese shows that are about food that you might want to watch on your lead up to Thanksgiving, which is very much a foodie holiday where we give thanks. But before we do that, I have a favor to ask of you. Yeah, it's that time of year. For those of you who don't know, my mother passed away around this time 4 years ago. The 4th anniversary was actually this past Friday. And every year I like to ask everyone a favor. It's not a big favor. It's not anything gargantuan. It's nothing that you can't do. So let me just go ahead and ask you the favor. If you could, please do something nice for somebody. That's it. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, it can be a total stranger, whoever needs it, whatever the situation requires. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to, spend a lot of money or save the world or anything like that. You just need to, just be nice, be kind, do something helpful for another human being. It can be as simple as opening a door for someone who has a lot of packages in their hand. They just can't quite get that door open. Maybe you got a friend who's having a bad day, and maybe you just want to make that person feel a little bit better, so you crack a joke and hopefully you get a smile out of it. Things like that. If you could do that, if you could, please do that. And if you do that, that would be great, because I would consider that to be kind of like in honor and in memory of my mother, who again passed away 4 years ago. So again, if you could, please be nice and do something kind for somebody else. Okay, so that's it for my favor. I hope you do that. And let's get on with the foodie shows. Alright, so I'm going to start this list with a couple live action shows from Japan. The first one being Samurai Gourmet. I've already done a review of this. It is on the channel. I'll provide links to some of this stuff if you would like. But anyway, Samurai Gourmet is this wonderful little TV show where a retiree, a man who's turned 60, he's retired from his job, he's sitting around, he has nothing to do, so all he does is read samurai novels. And so finally his wife, who is very attractive by the way, and very much younger, says, why don't you go out and have a walk? And he goes out on a walk, and he notices all these places to eat. He's walking around, and he goes, I've never eaten there. I've always been a rush, so I never checked that place out. Wow, I have time and I have a little bit of money, and you know what? I'm going to check these places out. So he goes into these places, and usually, in addition to the food, there's some type of little situation that happens. And as he's sitting there wondering how the situation will resolve, his mind goes back to the samurai novels, and he depicts about what would happen back in the Edo period if this situation were to happen in a restaurant. It's amusing anecdotes. It talks a lot about food. And it's just a fun, just kind of, you're not going to get recipes out of this, but it is very much about eating food, enjoying food, and how to handle situations. It's a fun little show. I hope you get a chance to watch it. Okay, this show is a personal favorite show of mine. It's called Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories. There's about 3 seasons. I believe it's still on Netflix, so you can find it there. It is a wonderful show. Again, I actually did a review on this a while ago on this channel. It is a wonderful show. So it's a kind of a drama show centered around food. And this guy, he only opens up around midnight at night, and he serves a nighttime clientele. And his little alleyway restaurant, where he has a very limited menu, which is basically, if someone brings in food or a specific recipe and they bring in the item, he'll make it for them. But as he's making it, they kind of tell the story, their own little stories. So it's centered around food and their stories. And it's just a fun little show. And it's just really kind of cool because the opening sequence is actually him making dashi, how you do it, with the miso and all that stuff. And it's just a phenomenal show because it's centered in this crowded, tiny little restaurant. And everyone eats these simple foods and they talk to each other. And he's kind of like a bartender. The guy who makes a cookie, he's got a scar over one guy. So he's very mysterious. But he always kind of offers like a little bit of advice or you know, kind of prods a discussion in a certain direction or whatever. If you get a chance to watch the show, please do. Again, I believe it's on Netflix. It covers the gamut of so many things, from anime to pornography. I mean, that's kind of weird to say, but when you see that one particular episode, you'll be like, oh, that was sweet. I know. You got to watch it now, right? Okay, so we get into the anime portion of these shows, and this next show that I want to throw out at you is called Food Wars. So basically, I think there's like 3 or 4 seasons to this. I think you can find it on Crunchyroll or Funimation. It's out there. It's one of those things where you can find it pretty easily. So the protagonist is this kid who works in a ramen shop with his father. His father is really well known as being this amazing ramen chef, and he is following in his father's footsteps, and he is no slacker himself. Like, he's actually really, really good himself. And so their little ramen shop is always popular. There's always people coming in, so you know, they're doing okay. Suddenly his father has to return a favor for somebody. He's going to go overseas to help open a restaurant, because once upon a time he was an executive chef and he was one of the best in the world, so a lot of places want him to help open restaurants in other places. So he's going, but this time he's going to be away for a while. So he tells his son, I really want you to go to this school, and it's a cooking school, but I really think you should try to get in and go here. So it starts off with the kid getting into the entrance exams and things like that. It's all about cooking food. It's all about ego in cooking food as well, because chefs have egos and things like that. So there's a push and pull between various characters. Obviously, he gets into the school, so it becomes more of a classroom kind of thing going on. And so not only is it about cooking the dishes, but it's about those interactions as well. It gets a little ecky at times, but in a fun little way. Nothing too over the top. And one of the cool things about this show is that the plates that they cook are real plates, and you can find the actual recipes to these actual dishes that they make on the show. And that's one of the fun things about the show, is that you'll see something and go, oh, I wish I could make that. And you go online, and you're just like, oh, there's that dish. So if you want to try your hand at it, watch this show, see if there's something you like to try and make, and off you go. So yeah, give it a try. All right, this next one is really a show about camping, but it has a huge food element to it. Laid Back Camp. Who doesn't love Laid Back Camp? I mean, this is a wonderful little show in its own right for what it does in its own reasons. But the show introduces a certain character, one of the main characters. She comes in, and by virtue of thanking someone for helping her out, she makes the meals on their camping trips. So she does these things. She comes up with these meals that you can cook while you're out at camping. And I gotta tell you that sometimes when I'm watching this show and I see what she puts in the little pot, and, you know, as she describes, you know, chopping the things up and putting everything together and all the wonderful curries and things that she makes, you're just like, can I have that, please? So it looks, even though it's anime, it's not real, it looks awesome. So, but like I said, Laid Back Camp is more about camping, but it has this wonderful, strong food element. And one of the things that it talks about when using the food element is bringing all these girls who are putting this camping club together in their school, and the food kind of brings them all together around the campfire, so to speak. And they, you know, it's how they talk, it's how they plan for the future, and eating these wonderful, lovely little meals. You should watch Laid Camp Back anyway, because it's such a wonderful little anime. But trust me, when you watch the food that they make, you're going to want to have some too. I mean, it's just, you'll be pawing at the screen. All right, this last anime is very dear and sweet to my heart, no pun intended. It is Daemon, and this is a very, very, again, no pun intended, sweet anime. So the story begins with a failed musician, basically, and his girlfriend has walked out on him. His bandmates have said, we give up, And you know, when you see the fact that he wears a chestnut on his head when he performs, you kind of get an idea of like how well of a musician he is. So he goes, well, I don't know what to do. He gets a letter, and the tone of the letter seems to suggest that his father is not doing well, is in the hospital. And so he rushes back home, back to the family business to talk to his mother. And of course, they run a patisserie, so it's a lot of candy, a lot of pastries and things like that. So he runs in, and he's just like, "What's wrong with Dad? Is Dad okay? Is his dad okay?" She's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's just, you know, I forget what minimal surgery he had to have done, but nothing life-threatening." And so the son is just like, you know, okay, great. All right, well, I'm here. I've got a lot of good memories of this place. I'm not that good at this, but I enjoy elements of this, and I'm good at the front counter. Maybe I should come back and try and help out with the store, help the parents out with the store. And they're like, great, but we don't want you to take it over. We have this little girl over here that we kind of adopted, and we're kind of training her to take over things. And oddly, he is okay with this. He sees this little girl, and he sees like how committed she is to doing things like this. She keeps calling him a slacker because he kind of looks like one. I mean, he kind of literally shows up with a guitar on his back. And she has her own little backstory where she's been orphaned by her father. The only image that she remembers her father is he has a guitar on his back and he's just walking away. So, you know, of course, this family takes her in, and she's taken to this patisserie, you know, just very well. And she's just trained to take it over, and she's ready to do this. She's so happy to do this, but very, very driven. And so the son, who's like okay with all this, he's kind of looking at her and goes, and he figures out what his mission in life is, kind of. And he kind of looks at her and goes, you know what? I need to grow up a little bit and make sure she's okay. Because I think she's right for this, and you know what? This is a good thing, but I need to make sure that this is where she goes and that she's okay and that nothing bad happens to her. So it's a very sweet story about that kind of thing going on. And of course, the backdrop is on this patisserie, so they're always making these wonderful items. And one of the cool things that they do in this show is they show you the tools, and they say, okay, they show you the tools, and they show the characters actually using these tools and explaining how to do it along the way. And of course, along with that is the plot of whatever the story is, and there's an overarching story plot, which is, does the little girl find her daddy? I'm not going to spoil that for you. Anyway, Daemon, wonderful little show, and especially if you like pastries and candy and things like that, it's a fun little thing to watch. There will be moments where you're going to be like, huh, but it's okay. It's okay. It's a good show. It's not Grave of the Fireflies. No one dies, I don't think. Anyway, so yeah, give this show a watch. I think you'll really enjoy it. Pulls at the heartstrings a little bit, but in a really good way. Really good, positive way. Okay, so that's it for this week. If you happen to live outside of America, tell us how you celebrate Thanksgiving, or if you even do, because you know you might be in Japan, you might be in Europe, you might be in South America, wherever it is that you are. How do you celebrate Thanksgiving? And if you do, list the foods that you're kind of able to use, because not every country has all the things that you would have for Thanksgiving. So let us know how that works out. If you are in America and you are celebrating Thanksgiving, let us know what kind of recipes that you like. What kind of foods do you like to eat? Is it the traditional kind of stuff? Do you like something different? And if you have a recipe, maybe share that with us. Why not? So yeah, happy Thanksgiving. And before I go, one more reminder, if you could do something nice for somebody this week, and in honor of my mother, that would be awesome, and I would truly appreciate it. And other than that, that is it for this week. Stay good, be healthy, love you guys, eat well this week. See you next time, and watch more anime.